All right. Hey, everybody out in YouTube land. Welcome back to Talk About Town. Chad, how's it going?
I'm good, Neal.
Good. I'm excited about today. Let's run the intro and get with our guests.
Here we go.
Recorded live from Louisville. It's Talk About Town, the Louisville podcast. And now, your hosts, Neal and Chad Hennessy.
Hey, Ron White here. I'm nowhere to be found. You're listening to Talk About Town, like I give a...
All right. We're here with Michael Sanders today. How's it going, Michael?
It's going pretty good. Good to meet you guys.
Nice to meet you, buddy.
You as well.
It's good to be here.
Michael is a musician, video producer, music recording professional, all of the above. He's had some things.
Yo champion.
Yo champion. I forgot.
You didn't read that in the bio.
I know. He's done a lot of really cool stuff that even locally has gone viral nationally and other stuff. And we wanted to get him in here, kind of talk about him, see what makes him tick. Let's talk about some of his projects.
Yeah, Mike, tell us just a little bit about your story, man.
Yeah, man. I like I was telling you earlier, grew up. I was born in Louisville, Shively, moved to Valley Station.
There you go.
Awesome metropolis. Yeah, I grew up. I was the only child, homeschooled. And I really got into music. I was so bored, had plenty of time to play. I started playing piano when I was 5. Started playing drums when I was 7. That was like my rebellious instrument. I had to play piano. And then got into play. I wanted to sing, wanted to be in bands. So I started playing guitar, singing, being in bands. I was playing in church, grew up in church. And so with all of it. And, just got into bands, started recording there wasn't any recording studios in town that I really loved or that I wanted to record in. So I just started recording myself and trying to learn, get better at that. Slowly got better gear over time. Got to the point where people were paying me to record their stuff and was doing that as a job for years. Ended up, my business was called Jetlag Recordings when MySpace was kind of happening. Got a lot of people to drive out to Corn, Indiana, and record with me in my parents' basement. So it was cool times, though. It was, there's never been a music thing like MySpace since MySpace.
Mm-hmm. It was very unique.
Yeah, it was just the way it connected fans to bands and just locally and big bands. It was a cool time, but. I got a little, everybody wanted an MP3 on their page, and it was people would come record with me and they were like, it was like a stress, like, how do we get this on our page tonight? So everybody was scrambling, but it was fun, So I eventually moved, I'm really good friends with Mark Maxwell, who fronts the Louisville Crashers and at Maxwell's House Music. And
I recorded a little album of sorts when I was about 16, 17 years old at Mom's Music.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yep.
I think the Crashers are playing Thunder at the Bat Stadium, if I'm not mistaken.
Are they really?
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. I have no idea when I'm going to something they're doing tonight. They're doing like a KET thing at the Olmsted or something.
Oh, cool.
Shooting a little footage. But I'm really good friends with Mark, and he's kind of, one of my friends and a client right now, too. I'm doing like personal branding stuff for him and reels and whatever. He had a big, my parents were super supportive and my dad's awesome and really helped me get into music and was my sound man for years and traveling and playing music. But anyways, Mark was another big person that really pushed me to go full time with producing and really helped me get clients and just pushed a lot of people my way. And so I had a little studio in Jeffersonville at a couple different buildings. One interesting situation that, so I had a building my studio was in an old tattoo shop spot in a strip mall. It looked like a castle. When I got in there, it looked like something from Mario Brothers. Like I had to paint over it, looked like I was in King Koopa's, underworld. But I had a studio in there, and I was just recording bands, and I even had bands coming in from out of town and stuff, and I was just doing a lot of producing. Well, I was about to get married, and one night somebody from and I was working crazy hours. You know, I was there till 4 a.m. and
Probably consumed you, I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was editing all the time. Well, I had a band here from Nashville. They were younger kids. They're called Danya or something, but they were here for spring break recording an EP with me because I knew this guy was managing them or something. So they're here all week, and they were gone. It was 3 a.m, 4 a.m. I was editing their bass or drums or something. I was about to go to bed. I was basically living there because I was about to get married. It was like we were trying to get a house, and I was basically sleeping there, and I'd go home, do laundry or whatever at my parents. And I was like 26, 25 at this point. And so one night, somebody from Domino's Pizza throws a cigarette in the trash can. That strip mall, they're in front of me. And so I just made this weird decision. I was laying down to sleep, and I got up, and I was like, I'm going to go sleep in my fiance's house. She leaves for work about the same time I would get, So I went there. As soon as I fell asleep at her house, my ADT stuff started calling my phone, because that place is on fire.
Wow.
And I didn't have any smoke detectors or, it's this big old weird building. I don't even know why I was it sounds so dangerous thinking about it now. I was just sleeping in this, But it didn't burn my stuff, but smoke just filled. It was like the bathroom was black, and it was just my gear and it was a nightmare. But it was one of those things where like that band could have been sleeping there with me. It could have been, we could have all died or something. It's crazy. So, feels like I should have died then, but didn't, but it messed up my studio pretty good. Anyways, I moved all my stuff. Thank you to Mark too. He let me move all my gear in some old theater room over there at the store and keep on trucking.
Does it still work?
Most of it did. Yeah. I that computer that was in that room, I had a big old Mac Pro 8-core that just retired recently. So
it lived a little bit longer.
Oh yeah, heck yeah. Yeah. But it wasn't the majority of the smoke hit coming from the other direction. It was like the bathroom and stuff, and then the control room was in the back of the building. But yeah, talk about a scary thing. You get there, and there's just smoke rolling out of your studio, and the firemen had like kicked the glass window in and everything.
You don't have insurance on all your
equipment.
I
did.
Oh, you did?
I did, but it wasn't enough. I think I had like $20,000 or something.
Probably barely covered. Yeah. Scratched the surface.
But the funny thing was and I think it was like auto owners insurance or whoever, and they were actually great. But what I didn't know then was that they get penalized for underinsuring.
I could tell you guys a boring story.
I'm sure you could.
Yeah.
But it was so funny because I wrote the biggest claim you've ever seen about this rug and this thing, and right? And then they're like, well, I should have written it for 19 or whatever, and he's like, well, but what was crazy is my claim was so much bigger than whatever
coverage you had.
It equaled out to where it didn't even touch me, Yeah. So I had a little bit of insurance, but it was not fun to lose because I had a good payment on that building. So because it was some room that nobody cared about or wanted. So
you had to pivot at that point.
Yeah, I had to just get into it. Anyways, So I hate you, Domino's Pizza. Tried to kill me. So I started eating Papa John's after that.
Firmly Jeffersonville and Louisville associated. So.
Exactly. Yeah. But anyways, I continued to record bands and get more into that. I made friends in Nashville. I had people kind of mentoring me, and I ended up meeting a guy named Dave Hagen, who's an engineer. He runs a recording school down there, but he's worked on a bunch of big records. And he kind of spoke up for me and got me an editing gig with a big producer down there named Seth Mosley. Really cool dude. He's younger than me, multiple Grammy winner. Him and X O'Connor have a company called Full Circle Music, but they're just producers and writers, and they're killing it. And so ended up being their vocal editor. I'm really good at vocal editing and Melodyne. And so I did that for a couple
years.
Another stupid story, doesn't have anything to do with anything, but I'm going to tell it anyways, is that...
That's what we're here for.
Do you remember, this is not Louisville related, but sort of E-Town related, down 65. Well, I was coming back I was hanging out in Nashville, and I was at the studio, and then I was about to come back, and I was in between. I should have come back. The snow's looking bad, and went ahead and came back. Well, it was that day that like it was an ice storm, and like 6 miles of people got stuck on 65. It was what was like March 2015,
08, I think.
No, it was later.
I think it might have been 15.
Okay.
It's something like that.
13. Or something.
There was an ice storm in like 08, 09.
That's when it hit Lexington really bad.
So right before I got stuck, I pulled off at Dinosaur World exit, right? And I literally like peed in the Dinosaur World parking lot in the middle of the night, and I'm like, hop back on the thing. Because I couldn't find a gas station or whatever. Hop back on the highway, and it was just like we stopped, and then it was like just ice and ice and ice, and then I was like, oh no, and so it was so strange because I'm sitting there in this Volkswagen Jetta. I had just filled up all my gas. So I had a full tank of gas.
Fantastic, yeah.
I had a gallon of water and a giant bag of almonds and the first Lemony Snicket's book for some reason and a cover. So, but here's the crazy thing. So that night I go to bed
in the car.
Of
course.
I have my water. I'm reading my Lemony Snicket's book, and I had a Marilyn Manson CD. So I'm jamming that. It was Pale Emperor. It's one of my favorites. But anyway, so I just the car on, and then I go to bed. I wake up in the morning. We're all still there.
Oh my gosh.
And then I proceed to stay there all day.
Oh God.
I'm outside peeing in the snow. There's car. It's like truckers are making me sandwiches. Like,
that's awesome.
It was just wild. And the National Guard showed up, at the end of the day, with crackers. And they didn't make it to me, though. I never got the National Guard crackers, but I did have my almonds. So there's probably some old people that needed whatever it was.
How long before you guys could move?
I went to bed again.
Oh, wow.
That's horrible.
It's a good thing you had some provisions. I'm sure there were plenty of people that had nothing.
But it was like, it started to feel like a Stephen King, what the hell is going on here? And I just remember going to bed the second night and just being like, oh my. And then at this point, because I'm an only child, my parents are, always
checking on you, of course.
They're like, but then it was kind of my dad's. It was my dad kind of going, why don't you go ahead and come on home? Like when we were talking on the phone. And so my mom is just at home kicking my dad's butt, And so my dad's like, I'm just going to come get you or something. Like, just get out of your car and just meet me on the other side because the other side of the highway is moving for some reason. So. So he was like on his way down. Eventually, like right as I'm falling asleep, it all started going again, and we got out.
Wow.
So, anyways, yeah, I-65 is not the funnest
to be stuck on,
like RV park or whatever that was.
I do recall that. Yeah, I think it was 15, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was funny. But what's crazy is that day, I stayed around too long talking to this guy that ended up. He was the guy that got me the job with the producer, So it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
If I wouldn't have stayed and got stuck in the snow, it just was what it was. But ended up working for them. I worked on some cool records. A lot of bigger Christian music too. This guy's involved in, like for King and Country and Newsboys.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Sidewalk Prophets, just all over the place. Skillet worked on their record Unleashed, and worked this one band I really like. Their country on Atlantic called High Valley. They're from Canada, and so anyways, it's just a great experience working for those guys. And like we were talking about earlier, it's like when you're working for people that are just way above you skill wise, it just pushes you,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that I got real pushed just being in the room with those dudes. That made me get way better, and I think that's translated in my video stuff and everything, So anyways, after I did that for a while, ended up some personal stuff, ended up having to get a divorce. I have a couple little kids. Life changed a lot. Kind of got into marketing and doing some video stuff, and that really kind of stuck. And so I ended up on retainer with a company that Kroger owns, a 48 store chain called Ruler Foods, and working for their corporate. And that was an experience, but got my feet wet with a lot of stuff. I started making videos for them. They have like food banks and stuff they support. So
nonprofits. You were
yeah.
talking about,
well, so I would go like for Kroger or whatever, but I would go and do like a video of their little store in this town, and then do a video about their food bank that they support or whatever. And then, and so that got me making videos, started buying a little bit better camera and getting into editing and stuff. And so then in the middle of all that, I ended up my daughter's music teacher at school, Clarksville Elementary in Clarksville, Indiana. Sorry, it's not Louisville.
That's all right.
It's darn
Greater Louisville area.
It's darn close. But she said, "Hey, I'm thinking about doing this because COVID was hitting, right?" Mm-hmm. And oh my gosh, and she was like, seeing all the, you remember those virtual choirs and stuff? People were just trying everything, right?
Yeah.
And she goes, "I kind of want to do this virtual choir thing." And I was sitting there like listening to her, and I was like, I mean, it was totally fine, but we were kind of coming out of COVID, and I was like, the only reason that was cool is because we literally couldn't do anything else.
Right.
But it's kind of lame overall. Like, I mean, of course, any of that stuff is kind of, but I was like, since we can actually come to school, like, let's make something better than that if we can. And I was like, let me help you with it, So I didn't know what I was getting myself into. It's all stuff that do you guys have kids?
Oh yeah, I got 4.
Okay.
3.
3 and oh yeah. So you totally know. It's like you get yourself into some stuff with your kids.
Absolutely.
You're like, what, you're, I haven't been a coach of anything yet, but I mean, that might happen to me at some point. My kids are kind of artsy, but anyway, so I signed up for this, and then I'm like, you can't let the kids down at this, it turns into this nightmare thing, and I'm filming all these kids, there's 13 soloists, and we got to do all these big choir scenes, and you'll watch the video later, and it's kind of, and there's a rap scene, and there's a whole, and so it just never stopped, and but
I think we can list the YouTube video on the page that we sent.
Yeah. It's sure. It changed my life, when we released it, it just instantly started going on Facebook, and then all of a sudden went nuts on YouTube, and it was crazy because their channel didn't have anything, I think they had 100 subscribers or.
What year was this? Is this 21?
Yeah. May 21. But it was wild. It's like, because my daughter was one of the main singers on the,
we saw it too.
Yeah.
She's got some pipes.
She's crazy. And she was so brave that day because, we went and filmed it, and WHAS was actually there to do a story on it when I'm filming her part.
How'd you promote that, or what prompted WHS to be there? Maybe the music teacher did it, or
I can't remember.
Yeah.
But I think word was kind of already getting around before. Okay. But honestly, none of us knew what we were making, and that's like, I think that's the coolest thing ever. And I'm sure you guys,
it just organically happened. Almost.
Well, it's like, I think it's really neat when you think about anything in life, like whether it's, businesses or whatever, it's like anything wild, the person making it didn't know what was about to happen.
Yeah.
I agree. Yep.
So it's kind of like, that's a nice thing in life, just to go, just to have faith and go, like, work on it like it's going to blow up, because you don't know.
When you said it consumed it, it was a good period of time that you were putting it together.
Yeah, it was about a month, so everybody was about to kill me. My kids, my girlfriend at the time was just like, bro, because I was just doing more of that than I was my work or anything. And sorry to who I was working for at the time. But it was a good thing. And it was like, we were all just doing it for the right reason. These kids it was a perfect storm, I bet you if we just picked another school, like, we wouldn't have that level of, like, all those kids can sing pretty much and really well. I was able to do a little bit of my thing to where I did a lot of editing and post and really kind of, but at the same time, there's a lot of good performances there. Like, I mean, I've made people that shouldn't sound good for a long time, but these kids actually did sound pretty darn good. But I kind of took it up a notch, with my skills and stuff. And
you didn't have to turn anyone into like T-Pain or anything.
No, not too much. There's a couple situations, but overall, it's just this beautiful thing, and we let it loose, and it just went nuts. And I've never been a part of something like that, to where, like, I could be in California and talk to somebody, and they're like, hell yeah, I've seen that, And it's like, whoa.
Really, you were telling Neal now that has opened up a whole new avenue of streams and just
right. So it's like, and it's turned into this thing where people just start, because I put all my info on it. It starts off like, and so people just start emailing, and you're like, huh. And it was, it's not insane. But it was the first time anything like that's ever really happened, And so I just started talking, different companies and nonprofits start talking to you, and you start pitching some stuff. And I ended up, and I'll get into that. But the other cool thing that's continued, like I feel like after a while that kind of went down. But what's wild is the video it's insane. It keeps getting kind of new breath in it. And this is kind of sad with tragedies. So like anytime there's like a Uvalde or whatever, it will like
start trending
explode on TikTok again. They'll make a bunch of videos about Uvalde, but they'll just put like text on top of our video and shoot it out again. Kind of wild, but I see it as being this like really pure, just innocent people loving each other, and it's kind of like this good reminder of what humanity needs to be,
Yes.
Well, We Are the World.
Yeah.
And obviously, I don't know if you guys know, but on Netflix, just like in the last week or two,
Yeah.
the original We
Oh,
Are
yeah.
the World. I haven't checked it out
documentary
yet, but I
about
heard
it.
it's really good on the making of the initial one. I'm wondering if you can catapult people's attention to that again.
Well, that's so crazy because I was literally about to pitch that, and I'm still going to do it, and we'll see. But I was literally about to pitch like making more content about the making of us doing that, right? Because I have all this footage and just weird, it's like, and a lot of people, since everybody's seen it, it's like, and it's like something that I'm attached to. That's like a hit song in this sense. It's like,
did you have to get any kind of royalties with it or anything like that?
so I didn't, and it basically the school kind of owns it, but it's such a big thing. Like, it's not like we're making any money. Like I'm definitely not making any money off of it as far as like royalties come through YouTube or anything. Maybe the school is, but YouTube's set up so good now to where it'll go ahead and ration it off to the writers, and usually
that makes a lot of sense.
So
I mean, if anything, you're benefiting on branding.
Well, I think it's such a positive thing that like anybody that would like, I don't think anybody would even come after the school, it just unless some crazy money was flying around, which it's not. But yeah, so. But the other weird thing was that I'm considering making some documentary content about it. So I'd like to get some businesses and like attached to it to where it's sort of an ad, but we'll see.
Well, Mike, with your experience both in music and the video editing and what you've done, obviously that video is, let alone the millions of people that have looked at it, is pretty successful on its own.
Yeah.
What are you looking to build off of, or even with, even just having you on the podcast is we can help. Hey, I'm looking to do this, or this is my services.
For sure. Yeah. So, what I'm doing now, my company's called Think Emotion, and we just, I do, commercials and short films and stuff like that. So if you, my past couple of years, one of my clients that I got from We Are the World was a nonprofit in Colorado Springs called Save the Storks, and
I'm very familiar with them.
You know about them? Yeah. So I was with Save the Storks for 2 years as a contractor. They're a pro-life organization that they have ultrasound buses around the country.
I insure up in northern Kentucky, Seven Hills Church has that.
Okay.
So,
Seven Hills.
Yes.
Okay, so
Small world.
Okay, so I love Seven Hills. I'm friends with them now. So when the We Are the World thing happened, Storks approached me, and before I kind of went on retainer with them to help with I did a bunch of random stuff for them. Did some short films, did a lot of TikTok content and stuff like that. And they're beautiful people. I love them. But before we did anything, I pitched a video idea that I wrote called Shelter. I wrote a song. It's called Shelter of Love. And it's kind of a brand video for them. And I pitched it, and it was like crazy big compared to anything I had done, like budget wise. Sure. I had to travel. I had to go to LA and Ohio and I was kind of, this video, I mean, I'm fairly, I'm only probably 5 years into my video career right now, and I've been with them for a few years. So I'm kind of green, But so I pitched this idea to the CEO. She loved it, and they kind of greenlit it, So I got to make this thing. Well, it was like I'll send that to you too. I really love it. It's like one of the things I'm really proud of. But I wrote this song, and then it needed all these kids to sing it. Kind of a choir thing, sort of We Are the World-ish, but not. But it had a story where you're kind of watching this girl get on one of their buses, right?
Sweet.
for info or whatever. And then as the song's going, what happens is basically that you start hearing these interviews of these girls that said, when I found out I was pregnant, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to spoiler alert. But then all of a sudden the song kicks in and then you see them with their kid that's 3 and you see them with their kid that's 5. So you kind of don't get a chance to think, you know.
Are they using that now? And with
Yeah. It's been one of their main fundraising tools. So yeah, producing that was amazing. But anyways, the kid portions, like with the choir and those scenes and everything, we were looking for locations. Well, ended up Seven Hills, like totally came through, and they let us film there. Yeah. Let us their children's ministry learned the song, and it was just this.
That's awesome.
So when you watch it, it's all you'll see. You know, some of it's even outside.
Relatives that are over there. So.
Erin, the children's minister out there, she was just amazing, and they're all awesome. But yeah, so we filmed and shot, and we did a lot of the interviews there, and and then I did some of the stuff in Long Beach, California, a couple other interview things, and then I did some of it in the bus scenes in Colorado Springs. The bus. So
just listening to you and just meeting you, obviously a little bit earlier, you can tell that one, you're working in it's a passion.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, you can tell you really enjoy it, which is, I tell my kids all the time, I was like, it's one thing to make some money. Of course, that's the goal. But if you find something that you've got a passion with, at that point, it's not a job. It's a mission, if you want to say.
For sure. Yeah. And it was kind of, that was a neat experience for me. Cause I don't think at that point, you start doing these videos with these stories. And I was like out in California interviewing this mom that her daughter had Down syndrome, and because we really wanted to represent that community too, because that's kind of, they're sort of targeted for abortion. A lot of times that's the direction people go when they find that out. And so we did this story, and the mom sitting there telling about when she found out in the news, and we're out in somebody's yard in some other person that let us film there, and she just starts crying, talking about this, and it gets so real and so raw, and these are just real people's lives, and these kids that maybe wouldn't be here, it's some cool stuff. I love it so much. It kind of wore on me a little bit because it's so polarizing and it's so dark.
It weighs on you. Yeah,
it's like if that's all you did all the time was make content about that, it gets a little bit dark. But I love what they're doing, and they are very beautiful organization that just really supports women.
Michael, when you go to do your video content, do you have a crew? Is it yourself? Is it
It depends. Like on that project, I pulled in some guys, like a drone guy, and friends of mine, and some people to assist. And I think my girlfriend was helping out on that one back then. But most of the time, it's just me as much as I can handle it. So I did an ad campaign for them before I stopped working with them a bunch this past year. I still do a few things for them here and there. But I did a commercial where I cast it here and everything, and had 3 locations, like a real commercial. And I had, I just did that by myself. I'd have some people holding things here and there, but it was some of the stuff was so emotional. It was like you kind of didn't want to have a bunch of people around, and
you're pretty much self-taught, it sounds like, too.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What video editing software is your favorite?
So I'm kind of a weirdo with all this stuff, but I'm a little bit more well-rounded in the audio world. I'm like Pro Tools, Logic. I'm kind of a Logic Pro guy in the audio, but I'm a Final Cut guy.
Okay.
In video. Now, I'm going to have to start broadening my horizons when I start working with more groups of people, Since I'm kind of an island unto myself right now with that, I can kind of stick with Final Cut, but I love Final Cut because it looks like Logic.
Right.
It's like the same UI. So since I'm so used to doing the audio stuff with that, it just feels like home. And so I love it though.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is I'm doing a bunch of animation in it now too. Cool. But it's probably stupid how I'm doing it, but it just really makes sense to me. And it's like, I'm animating logos and stuff with it. If
it's stupid and it works, it's not stupid.
Well, it's true. Yeah. Well, it's kind of like if if it looks great and people pay you for it, I guess it doesn't matter, right?
That's right.
Unless it's just my only thing is like at a certain point is if there's certain things I'm doing that maybe are taking way too much time or something. But I think it's just a different way to work. But yeah, I love Final Cut. What about you guys? What do you like if video wise?
Premiere Pro.
Yeah.
Adobe. I have the whole Adobe suite. That's me. But and
100%.
actually, full transparency, for this show, we typically outsource the editing of it just because. I've got a day job and I can't be editing this. But found somebody on Fiverr. Keep using the same guy. He's inexpensive and very
yeah.
So it's good. He's in Africa somewhere too. It's
wild. Well, the world's become a small place.
Yeah, for sure.
Insane.
It just might be some kid in his mom's basement in E-Town. Who knows?
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Yeah, really.
He's really good at editing though.
Yeah.
Michael, just I think it's pretty neat. I mean, if there's anything that we can do in regards to letting our audience know how to get in touch with you, I mean, nonprofits, organizations, businesses, individuals. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure you're willing to work with whoever it may be. For
sure, yeah. And one of the things, you can go to michaelsanders.com is my website.
I found that earlier because when I was kind of prepping for this, and you've got a lot of cool stuff on there.
I need to put more on that stuff. I'm kind of but there's some of the stuff I've done. Shelters on there, the ad campaigns. There's several things, but I actually did a cool. You can go watch it. There's a mini doc about Francis Smith on there. This guy from Denver. He's got Treacher Collins, which is like. Have you seen the movie Wonder?
Yeah.
It's that kid that's like real disfigured and everything. So there's a guy that had that and Save the Storks wanted me to go out there and do a thing on him. And the crazy thing is, and then I'll stop talking about this, is that he had he was born without eye sockets, without ears. I mean, crazy. But he plays the violin and the piano really well because he's got those implants, like the
cochlear.
Yeah, the cochlear. Yeah. And so the guy was and he has his PhD.
It's awesome.
Just a crazy guy, right? So I go out and hang out with him for 3 or 4 days, shoot all his footage, do this story. And we went to Red Rocks, filmed him playing the violin.
Red Rocks is amazing.
Yeah.
I've never been there, but I'd like
And then literally 8 months later, this guy just dies. And it's like, because, he had a lot of physical problems with all his ailment, just being born like that and everything. But it's just like, it's just a weird thing to go, wow, we just captured all this stuff.
And I'm sure his family, that's priceless. I mean,
oh yeah,
to have all that footage.
And I hate it. And I became friends with one of his best friends, and ended up crazily. I ended up accidentally sort of being the one to tell him because I thought he already knew, and I'm like calling him like, Michael, are you okay? Yeah. And but anyways, that's a cool. Yeah. A cool little piece on him, and he's such an inspirational dude, and I love that. But yeah, so but I'm also getting into like personal branding kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. That's like one of my favorite things right now, to where I'm trying to find people that really want to just put out a lot of content, whether they're a CEO or realtor, whatever, that I can just do maybe like a podcast episode a month with them, with somebody who's in the sphere, but make a bunch of in my head, with a lot of the stuff I'm doing, I'll shoot podcasty things. Like I'll send you some stuff I've done with Mark recently. Yeah. Kind of comedy driven kind of stuff where I'm like, I start to animate the goofy story he's telling, and
that's cool.
Just goofy stuff, right? One of them was about the Crashers. This is freaking hilarious. Or I think it is anyways. But that kind of stuff, to where I'm shooting podcasts, Joe Rogan looking things. Mm-hmm. But just for the reel's sake, basically. I'm not super worried about putting out the things. Because a lot of times it's like we're consuming podcasts in the bits on reels more than we're actually sitting down and watching the whole podcast sometimes, right? Yeah. So, but I think a lot of times if you think about this, or this is my thoughts anyways, is that, if you're a realtor or a business leader or whatever it is, it's like whoever is the most visible in the space feels like they own the space.
Well, and right now everything is video content.
Yeah, you know all the marketing that I do, and that's my exact thing. And it's I'm the realtor on Facebook in Louisville.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And so it's and especially since you can you know, you can pay a little money and make people see you. You can, like you said, like we were talking about earlier, there's like no gatekeepers, you know, it's like, do I want to be on TV? Okay.
Yeah, seriously.
You know, so that's a beautiful thing. So, you know, but I really enjoy telling, you know, that's why I named my stuff or my company Think Emotion, but I love emotional stuff. I like to tell stories that are uncomfortable or just be you know, people can cry or get, you know, or whatever it is, if it's nonprofit or whatever. But I also love stuff that's funny and goofy and like to get a little crazy.
Well, I've enjoyed getting to learn about what Michael does here.
Yeah, this has been great.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. And then
really appreciate
if people
it.
want to contact you, just michaelsanders.com.
michaelsanders.com.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, check it out, everybody. Check out Michael and all of his stuff. Go to michaelsanders.com. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, man.
Sweet. Thank you guys.
Thank you for listening. You can reach us at Neal at talkabouttownky.com. Neal is a realtor with Judah Real Estate Group. Chad is a partner at Insura Max. You can reach him at chadh@insuramax.com. Check us out on the web at talkabouttownky.com. Go Cards!